DeFi Kingdoms, where you can summon heroes, trade with other players, quest, and fight challenging enemies in a fantasy world brought to life in pixel art animation. Command your legion, claim your legacy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's AMA with DeFi Kingdoms. It is lovely to be here, as always. We're going to start off with some updates and then roll into some questions, as is our tradition. But first, Hubert, how are you doing today?
Hey, Bolon, thank you. I'm doing pretty well. It's almost my birthday, so I'm going to be going on a little mini vacation here after this here AMA. This is the last thing I'm doing for work this week, so gonna spend some time with friends and family and have my son get a little bit more social time that he's desperately lacking. So looking forward to all that, yeah, doing pretty well. How about you, Bolin? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well also. Just got back from a couple of mini vacations myself, so no travel plans in the foreseeable future, which is a vacation in itself. Winston, how are you doing, and who are you not fighting today?
Hey, Bolon, I'm doing well. I am not fighting anybody, I guess. Or, well, I am fighting nobody. I'm not fighting anybody. We're watching a tournament today. Kind of a bit of a shit show. So I think that, I hate to say it, I think scheduling bouts and letting them set up is a little bit easier than trying to get folks to vote on tournaments that might or might not run. So that's my bad. I've learned a lesson today. Pretty cool to see it running though, especially like these patroller limited ones can be a little tricky because not everybody's doing patrols, and the level limiting is a little tricky too. But here they are, they're doing it. We got Shitlog Staker. He came through. If anyone, I'd like to shake Shitlog Staker's hand. So if anyone knows who that is in Discord, I would love to get to the bottom of that and thank them personally. Also, I think I'm going to go to Hubert's birthday this weekend. I'm just going to show up. He doesn't know I'm coming, but I'm just going to show up. So that's what's going on with me, Bolon. Also, if you guys haven't had a chance, make sure you go and vote. Where's the window? I got a window that this is running on. Where did the window go? That's the ticket. Make sure you go and vote on the other matches that are happening. You don't want to miss out on those. There's 2 other matches. One of them, I think you can actually vote and sponsor right now. Yeah, Destroyer versus Liu Meb, who I believe is my friendo in Discord. So that's that was Hubert thought that was pretty humorous. Like he liked that name for some reason. I'm sure he'll talk
Toto
about that.
from Jujutsu Kaisen, who is the best character.
I know all those words. Don't know what you're talking about, but I'm sure a lot of people out there do. Make sure you vote on these. Like, look at these votes. This is just a tiny amount of votes compared to what we're used to getting on these. So a couple people, 2 people, and 3 people are going to chop up all this good stuff. So make sure you vote on those. Also, you'll be able to vote on who someone's going to beat Panga here in a minute. So who's that going to be? Hopefully it's, I mean, either one of these people beating Panga would be awesome. So I'm fine with that. Make sure you get in there and vote. You got 18 minutes on this one and probably 18 minutes on that one. The other one's running. Too late to vote on that one. And it might be over soon, too. Look at these guys go. Their Shitlog Staker is going hard, taking it. Uh-oh, Panga's in the chat. I didn't think he would actually be here.
Busted.
My bad, dude. My bad. But yeah, that's what's going on with me, Bolon, and I'll just fire it back over to you. I'll keep this up here and maybe pop in and talk about it as things happen, and you know, I'll be around.
Yeah, I think instead of answering any questions, we should just shoutcast this tournament. I think that would be more fun. But we would probably have a riot. So in the meantime, rolling into some other updates, Hubert, I was going to pass it over to you. We made some changes to tournament rewards.
We did. Yeah, so for those who might not have seen the announcement, we adjusted the daily skirmishes, I think the Weekend Warrior, and also, was it the Revengers as well?
Yep.
to have that. So like the first prize is a bit reduced. And maybe I think there was maybe one or two other little reductions on the top end to give room for, like, if you get into round 2, you essentially have your entry fee paid for. So that, like, the goal there is hopefully just to encourage people to join more tournaments. We've had quite a few that will end up canceling, like at 7 players, just need one more person. Like if it gets to half full, that means everyone basically gets to play for free. If it goes above half full, then I mean, all you need to do is get, win past round 1, and you'll have your entry for free as well. So we did see a lot of people kind of making statements of, they felt like they weren't able to win a lot of the time, and they didn't like the feeling of just kind of like donating to the tournament. So to address that, we're going to try this kind of redistribution of the rewards to, hopefully, it gives you an easier chance to just get in for free. If it is a full tournament, there still will be 8 people who, will just kind of have to fight for an entry fee in the consolation for the, at least for the skirmishes. For the Weekend Warrior and the Revenger, like there'll still be losses there, I guess. But yeah, hopefully that we'll see how that goes. We're still open to making other adjustments, but with us kind of getting close to the end of the season, we wanted to just see if some of these things can address some of the pain points that we've been having. So hope I've seen some people that don't like the change. I've seen other people that think it is good. I'll say that we're not tone deaf, I guess, is the one thing I'll say. And, we're doing our best over here. We have a lot of things to do. And comments like that, do hit us in the feels, I'll say. So thanks for those who say things like that.
Devs have feelings too.
Wait, was that a good feels or a bad feels?
Bad.
You confused me with that last thanks for that. It was
Yeah, it was
sarcastic. I don't know.
sarcasm and just generally being disappointed in people just not thinking about us as humans.
Devs are also humans, yes. One last update, and then we will roll into the questions. Following this AMA, probably about 15 minutes after it wraps up, Sachet and myself will be live again to do the first drawing for the first Transcendence kickoff event. So as a reminder, there are 2 raffles as a part of that giveaway. We will be drawing both of them in that stream. So make sure you tune in. We're just going to go live on YouTube for simplicity. So if you want to watch that stream, make sure you keep an eye on the YouTube channel for us going live. Should be pretty quick. We'll draw those 2 raffles and be good to go. But as a reminder, we are doing that event again. So any hero and or pet that is currently being transcended is earning you entries into each of the 2 raffles that will now be going on. That are now like taking entries. But we're going to go ahead and get the drawings done for the first event. Make sure that you are keeping an eye on that second event as well. All right, let's jump into some questions. As is our other tradition, we will start with Hubert. Any conceptual progress on a hero renting market for PvP?
Conceptual progress, huh? I'll say there hasn't been any actual progress on that for quite some time. I think we did already have kind of the concept basically figured out. Though I guess there were 2 different ideas that we were kind of bouncing between, and then we just ended up not prioritizing it. So I don't know if that doesn't really answer the question per se. I guess I'll say that I do see the value in us having a hero rental system or like a team rental system. I wouldn't want it to be like too complicated. I think that question had a few things like you pick out each hero and rent them individually, and then you have to go and rent each piece of equipment individually as well, or something like that. I think that's a bit too complicated for what would work well to get like new players to try out tournaments or players that don't have their own teams to like join tournaments. I think if we were to do it, it would be something more ideal. Would be just like people would build entire teams that you could just rent the whole team. Plus, it would come with potions that rental would include. And any durability damage that would happen there would just be a part of that person. They'd need to cost that into their rental price, I guess. So that's kind of, I guess, along the lines of where I'd want that to go. Just mentioning that we do have, we have pet combat bonuses, durability, pirate, and some other priorities that are going to be in front of that. So it's not going to happen anytime in the near future, I'd say.
Nice. Thank you, sir. Let's see. Any thoughts on tournament participation versus leveling heroes, and any thoughts on making leveling easier?
So I guess I'll mention that pet combat bonuses are going to include, there is a bonus for just increasing the amount of XP gained. So that would be one way, at least through combat, to get more XP. I mean, right now there is always the way of using expeditions and stamina potions to kind of power level. That option has always existed. So, or I guess has existed since expedition's been out, and before then it was harder. So I mean, that's there. We still always need to be a bit cognizant of like the value of high level heroes and not making it, trying to be careful about like really reducing that value so it's like super easy to get to level 20. But with that said, I think there will probably be additional things in the future to like, adjustments where you can get more XP from some things. We do have more PvE content that's been in the cooker for a while as well. So there may be more XP from those things as well. But yeah, for the time being, I think, the closest thing that's going to change things is going to be pet combat bonuses.
Nice. Thank you, sir. This next question, actually, I will kick off. Can we start the marketing drum roll for the All-Star Tournament and indicate time/day? So I'm actually going to answer this separately for the two parts. Marketing drum roll, yes, we actually have slightly started it, but we'll be ramping that up in advance of the event, and it is coming close to that time. We got about 6 weeks, 7 weeks, something like that. So it's definitely getting close. It is coming. As far as the day and time goes, I cannot indicate it yet because with the way that the All-Star Tournament is set up, there's only 16 qualifier tokens that will exist for it in the first place. So I actually want to try and coordinate more with the folks that have those tokens to find a day and time that works best. So rather than us just picking a day and time, this is a one-time event at the end of the season. Like, this is the culmination of everything. If you have an all-star token, I want you in this tournament. And so, we want to take a little bit more of a hands-on approach with those that have that token to figure out when that scheduling would be best. So if you have an all-star token, stay tuned because you're going to be hearing from me. If you don't have an all-star token, there are still several opportunities to get one. So make sure you're keeping an eye out for champion and revenger champion tournaments so that you can win your all. But yeah, stay tuned. I do want to start that process relatively soon, but I was hoping to get one or two more of the tokens out there into the world first so that we can find a time that as many of you can participate as possible. Go ahead, Winston.
All right, I'm here. I'm ready. I just that one you went a little longer than I thought you were going to. Sorry to interrupt you.
Wow, you're good.
Super quick. Shitlog Staker put up a good fight. DFK Elite snuck in there and killed his knight in the middle rather early. And I just thought I just kind of assumed like, oh, this is going to be a short battle then. But Shitlog Staker held on well through sudden death. A scholar and a hero and someone who deserves to be commended. So if anyone knows who Shitlog Staker is, Shitlog Staker, if you are within the sound of my voice, come forward. Another 40.
You
But
need
yeah,
to
that
say
was a
shit
good
loud
fight.
speaker more times.
I agree.
I could say it all day, dude. Great bout. It looks like DFK Elite is going to be beating Panga here in a minute. And then Destroyer versus my friendo. Make sure that this looks more in line with the type of voting we're expecting. So this one just opened for voting. So get in there and vote. You got 7 minutes. The utility wallet has sponsored it. Sachet is he's just right there watching. He's on top of it. So get in there and vote. There's 130 Joule just sitting there. Other people are going to sponsor it too. So make that happen. Yeah, thanks, Bolon. I'm going to fire it back over to you, and I'll check back in on these once they start up, and I'll kind of flip back and forth between the two of them.
Nice.
I wanted to say real quick also back to the topic of those who have all-star tokens. I'm not sure. I haven't been following who are the winners on each of the championship tournaments, but there may be some out there that have more than one of those tokens, and hopefully they are either listing them on the bazaar or have plans to like trade them to somebody else, so that we do get more players, as it would be a shame to see like someone hoarding those tokens, and they won't be of any value after this tournament is done either. So yeah, hopefully for those who don't have one, maybe there'd be a way to get one besides from winning at one of the championship tournaments as well.
That is always true. Yeah, make sure you keep an eye on the bazaar also. Yeah, sorry, I forgot what I was gonna say. But yeah. Yeah, we'll probably be pulling a list of who holds those tokens so that we can start those conversations here in the short term. Hubert, questions back to you. In terms of tournaments, stat limited tournaments were originally introduced for players who didn't have the monstrous heroes that some do have. With Transcendence being introduced, there is a potential for people to try to max out the heroes within the limits of stat limits, thereby still kind of circumventing that original intention of those who spend less on hero building. Do we have any thoughts on that, or thoughts on stat limited tournaments in general?
So yeah, I mean, Divine Essence being able to reroll using that did kind of put a new curveball in the whole situation for sure. We have kind of made an effort to reduce the number of stat limited tournaments that we have out there. I think patroller tournaments like we're watching here, those ones still do. And at least for those, I don't think that Divine Essence is really going to do that much. Like, you can maybe reroll to get high HP a few times, but your vitality is not going to be that high at that point anyway. So I don't think it's going to be that big of a difference. At level 20, yeah, I think that it will be a lot more impactful. So like I said, we've been reducing some things there. I'm not sure that we're going to like do anything where we like start limiting how many rerolls have occurred. Which, just for one thing, is kind of like what we are tracking for that is not gonna like completely work. And we could just basically say if the reroll cost is above a certain threshold, you can't join. But that doesn't necessarily mean like you could have maybe rerolled like the first 10 level ups and then not rerolled any of the next 10 and got below that threshold, but you could have done like a whole bunch earlier on, right? So the way that is tracked is not like a strict number that we would be able to like easily track, and I don't think it's worth adding new tracking for that. So yeah, maybe not, but like I said, we'll reduce things. We may also decide to like kind of change up the stat limits. We also had some other additions with like trait limits that were added, so we could potentially consider just having a few tournaments that work that way. I did see like the Mythic Mayhem was yesterday, and that one had some trait limiting on it, and it seemed like that filled. I think that was a full tournament. So it was cool to see that. Cool to see that being used. We want to have there be a lot of flexibility in what you can and can't do with like creating tournaments and what we do with our tournaments as well.
Yeah, I just thought I'd sneak in really quick to support you there, Hubert. I think that if people wanted to spend a whole lot of resources and time making, I mean, it's pretty easy to just make a level 5 hero that's decent without using divine essence, right? It's like once you get to the point where this one didn't work out and now it's like you're limited on rerolls, it's like you just throw it away and start another one, you know. So I don't know that that's really I'm agreeing with you in the sense that I don't think that's really a solution, and I don't know that people are gonna try to do that. I just don't know that the value's there. So I think it's kind of interesting to limit by that, but I just don't know that, like I said, I just don't know that the value's there for it. Looks like these tournaments are going to get started, these bouts are going to get started, and a ton more people have voted on them. So that's cool. And more sponsoring too. So I will slip it back over to you, Bolon, for a few more questions.
Yeah, 2 minutes. Get in there and vote, sponsor, and enjoy. Yeah, 1 minute and 45 seconds now. And yes, the Mythic Mayhem tournament, shout out to Mythic Squad and Sticks Intern for running that. It did have both trait limits and it was fully filled as well. All right, so there's a few questions that are worded in different ways, but all allude to the same thing. So I'm going to try to combine them into one master question. Hubert, with the All-Star Tournament coming closer, what is our outlook for major changes to the combat system in the lead up to the All-Star Tournament? For example, nerfs, the release of pirates, the time bank system, etc.
Yeah, one question to rule them all. So yeah, this is a kind of a tricky question. Like, I understand, the concern that is behind it, where, we have a really big tournament coming up, and if we change the meta leading up to that without enough time for people to kind of get adjusted to it, it might feel unfair, or that we just kind of created chaos in like right in advance of something that's like really high value and high stakes. So I get that, but at the same time, as a dev team, we're building a game that's incomplete, and we only have so much time in every day and every week, every month, to get things done. And right now I really do not want to slow down our pace at all. Like, I want to try to keep us running as much as we can right now. And so that to me means I don't want to delay the release of Pirate or any balance changes that are going to go along with Pirate, unless it's going to be a short delay, like a 2-week delay or 1-week delay. But if it's going to be like a 4-week delay or 3-week delay, I don't want to do that. So I think what we'll try to do is, I think we right now are probably on target to be able to do, release some like a big slew of balance changes. Like, I still have a few more to put in, but I will say that there's a whole bunch that I did yesterday for most of the classes. And I think actually all of the classes got something on them, except for one. One did not get changed. So anyway, I would like to see those kind of go into place. If there's like a 3-week period of time before the All Stars, like, that does give a decent amount of time for like trying out the new meta. I guess I'll say that if Pirate, when it releases, it turns out to be like completely broken for some reason, hopefully all of our testing will prevent that from being the case. But if it is, we always have the option of just excluding it from being allowed to be used in the tournament if necessary. But that's it. Being released is valuable time for us to like be looking at what needs to be, what needs to be changed. Like, we do all of our testing, but we only have so much time and so many people to do that. Like, getting it out in the wild lets you guys start to like find all those angles that we missed. And try out different teams, and gives us a good, like, even more data, and in a lot of ways a lot better chunk of like just watching it play out live is really helpful for balance testing, or like balancing in general, and not testing but just balancing. So I really don't want to delay that. Like, I understand the concern, and I'm sorry that it's this way. League of Legends I think was one of the examples in the full version of this question, or one of these 3 questions, was like referred to as like they don't make changes in the middle of their season, but they're also like a complete game, and we're not, so we really can't afford to delay. And I think if we were to delay, there would probably be more complaints about us being slow than complaints about us delaying for a tournament. So it's like, really, I don't think we can make everybody happy, and we just have to do what makes the most sense for us with our team. So hopefully that makes sense. And it's a really tough situation to be, building the plane while it's flying. But that's what we're doing. And we're just gonna keep trying to make the best of it.
Awesome. Appreciate you. And yeah, I think it's fair to say, like, we don't want to make any last minute major changes, but like, we are not last minute yet. Like, we're still too far out to just pause everything. Let's see. VFX question: is it possible to make the swap position effect more visually emphasized?
I would like to. I think it is possible. When that first came out, that was one I remember talking about, and the kind of the technical challenges of it, and like how heroes are placed, and how kind of the whole structure, like the backbone, the bones of the combat engine kind of did have some limitations there. But I think there's probably some things we could do to make it a little bit more flashy. Because yeah, it does. They kind of all just teleport around when pushing and pulling and repositioning happens. And I'd always hoped that it was a little bit more advanced than that. So we can see. I can't promise anything soon, but it is something that I'll probably be bugging about. And also SPD's here; he can hear me say that. So
he's saying in chat that there's animations for it, so we'll have to see what happens.
I think that could be more than there is.
Pretty easy to say in the chat that there's animations when you have to show them.
Right.
Anyone can say there's animations. I've got animations. I got them. I'm back here.
Yeah. Come on up on stage, SPD. Open invite. Real quick question from chat, actually. Hubert, this would be, I guess, really a front end thing, but curious of your thoughts on it. So we've got in the registrar, or in the registry, we've got the recruiter, which has the option for voter sponsor bout. Any thoughts on having tournament bouts show up in that list when they are available?
I don't think I quite followed that question.
Winston, switch tabs for me for a second. I'm gonna we're gonna do a visual because I had to go look to make sure that I understood. All right, so
I think I understand what you're saying. Let me cue it up.
Yep, right here. So right now you go into the tournament list to vote on matches in a tournament. Any thoughts on having them also show up at the recruiter for the ones that are available?
Yeah, I think that's a good call out, and it makes sense that there would be a way to do that there as well. So I don't know if Zip is listening, but if he is, he should add it to the list, and if he isn't, we'll try to remember to mention that to him.
Thank you. All right, let's see. Zip is in the chat. Yes, it is on the list. So, unfortunately, not as easy as it might sound, but it is on the list. Thank you, Zip. Let's see. So this next question, I'll kick off, but if anybody wants to add to it, feel free. But the short version is essentially like development in Crystal Vale and Sarandale, and the like thought process behind opening the Sundered Isles. So, I mean, I'll just say, like, in terms of development in Crystal Vale and Sarandale, first off, I guess I would separate those a little bit. Sarandale, we have talked about in the past. There are some less than ideal scenarios in that environment, but that's okay. Crystal Vale is, our our chain, our L1 on Avalanche. So there's, tons of potential there. And we still see development there. So, our last major release was Transcendence, which is only available in Crystal Vale and Serendale. So there's definitely always still development going on there. Crystal Vale is also the exclusive home of the Void Hunts currently. A lot of what we're working on right now, in particular, really will impact, I guess, Crystal Vale and Sunderdials, to be fair. Anywhere that has combat, combat pet bonuses will apply to both. Durability will apply to both. New class releases apply to combat everywhere. But as far as like opening the Sunderdials again, this is something that we talked about a decent amount back in the beginning of, there's a great opportunity to partner with a new chain and a sizable grant involved, which is great. That's funding. That is realistically why we have PvP today that we otherwise probably would not have. So it's all about strategic decisions. We've always been designed and intended to be cross-chain, and we are. And each place that we are cross-chain offers a unique experience and like unique pieces that the other places do not offer. So Sunderdial's PvP, Crystal Vale is a lot of the PvE content, and then Serendale has unique resources that are only available there, such as Swift Thistle, which I know is the main one that people are always after. So there's a lot of different content in different places, and our development really covers all three of our regions and realms. But yeah, sometimes opportunities come up and they're good opportunities. So we try to take advantage of them when they do. Winston, Hubert, anything you want to add to that before I move to the next question?
Yes, sir. I mean, it's always good to get paid for something you were kind of thinking about doing anyways, right? So it's like if somebody wants to, like, we're thinking about a cool idea, and if somebody wants to pay us to build that, like, why wouldn't we do that? It makes a lot of sense to me anyways.
Pretty much. Can't argue with that logic. Hubert, going back to you, any thoughts on adding an evasion debuff to Deathmark?
I don't know about that one. Yeah, I guess the person who asked this question is claiming that it's the worst of the skills or the traits right now, which I don't know if that's true either, but I mean, that one does more damage than the other ones do. So it does kind of have its own little benefit that it provides there. So yeah, I'm not sure. I think we'd have to look at it. I don't know that Deathmark is so dramatically worse that it kind of deserves like a really big buff or anything like that. And I think an evasion debuff would be kind of a pretty big increase of its value.
Awesome. This next one I'll kick off, and then Hubert, if you want to add anything, feel free. But what have we cooked up for PvP Season 2? I'm just going to say that we are currently cooking. And so not too much that I would want to share yet, but it is definitely something that we have started talking about, started brainstorming. To Hubert's earlier point, with the redistributed prizes in the current tournaments, that's something that we're trying out, which could inform decisions we make for Season 2 as well. So we're currently in that kitchen and adjusting the recipe as we think can be best. But I think it's too early to share details yet because we haven't really finalized them yet. But Hubert, anything you want to add to that?
No, I think you covered it pretty well.
All right. Well, new question for you then. Can codex releases happen a week or so before the release of the class? Of course, with a note and disclaimer that things are still subject to change.
Sorry, was that a question for me? I got distracted. My bad.
It's all good. Any thoughts on releasing the codex for a new class like a week or so before the class itself, with, of course, a note that things are still subject to change?
Yeah, potentially. I think, I did give a teaser of one of the pirate skills yesterday in Discord. If you want to go searching for some of my posts, that was Starbird Cannons. We might like trickle out a few other ones in advance of it like being released. And yeah, I think we could probably potentially have the like a week before it's released or so. I guess codex for you. I was gonna say preview, but I already have been giving previews, so I guess the whole thing. We could probably do that. We'll see.
Awesome. Thank you. Will durability cost be one use for one battle in PvE?
Not exactly. The way it works is like for whatever content it is, there will be a certain amount of chance for durability loss per thing that's equipped. And everything that's equipped will kind of have a role or multiple roles associated with losing durability. There will be ways that you can reduce those chances, either by way of I guess I'll just spill all the beans, by way of enchantments or by way of pet combat bonuses or also a power up. So those things can help reduce how often it happens. But I think more often than not, you're going to end up with some of your equipment losing durability and some of it not. Though when it comes to tournaments, that one's going to be a bit heavier because especially if you end up like getting to the end, that one will have kind of multiple roles depending on how far you make it in the tournaments. So yeah, that's kind of how that will work.
And have we put out how much it will cost for repairs and restores?
I don't think we have, but for repairs, it's all going to be gold based. I'll say that the cost kind of scales with the rarity of the equipment. So, and the level of it as well, but not always. It's like some equipment has kind of a lot, and it also is kind of tied to like how much durability you're repairing as well. So things like the gold shop gear that have 10 durability are relatively cheap in gold costs to repair. I think if you were doing patrols, you would probably have enough gold to repair what you need as you play. But I mean, you could also be doing gold mining, or if you're doing any profession quest, you could be selling the things that can be sold into gold to like get what you need as well, to be able to repair. So I don't think it's going to be, as long as you're doing something that can get you gold, I think you should probably be able to like cover most of the costs for like at least the lower end things. I'll just say that the amulets, those ones were designed first and before some thought had been like as much thought had been put into durability and how that system works. So those have a lot of durability on them, and the repair costs for those are quite a bit higher.
Astronomical, you might say.
Quite a bit.
Super quick, let me sneak in here. Destroyer defeated my friendo. He did his best, but that's how it went down. And now Destroyer waits in the finals for Panga to lose to level up, who is DFK Elite. So that's where we're at. We're watching that happen. DFK Elite slightly ahead, as in like quite a bit. Sorry, Panga, quite a bit ahead. They are in sudden death. And DFK Elite level up. I just got to call him level up. Lots of mana, lots of health. Panga, some mana, not as much health. Still some health files, though. Like, this could potentially go either way, despite level up appearing to be out ahead here a little bit right now. So, real quick sneak in there. Thanks for giving me a second there to rant and rave. So, Destroyer, waiting for one of these two. Get ready to vote on those. That's going to probably only have a few minutes before it starts, so make sure to vote and sponsor it before it starts. Thanks.
Quick question for you, Hubert. What determines explosion damage on a seer?
Explosion damage on a seer? Is it different on a seer for some reason?
I don't know.
I guess it's asking if it's like, is it using attack or spell is probably the question, what that means. So anything that uses power, that in the description is saying it uses power, it just is using whichever of the two the hero has that is higher. So seers have much higher spell than they have attack, so it's going to be using their spell, so it's magic damage.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. This next question I'm going to kick off. Can there be more community-wide polls set up for discussion? So yes and no. Like, can that happen? Yes. Is it always effective? No. We've done some polls in the past for different things, and we'll do more in the future for other things, because it is always a good way to like at least get some gauging on topics that we want some input on. However, there's two things that tend to happen a lot during polls. One is that it's just completely split, and really, you're no better off than you were before you did the poll because it's just so split. Or two, a poll is presented, and rather than participating in the poll, 14 other suggestions are given instead. So it is like it's a tricky balance to maintain. So yes, polls can be very helpful. They are definitely not a bad thing to utilize, but they are not always the key to learning and success that you would want them to necessarily be. So it's a double-edged sword, but it is something that we've talked about before on polling community, and we've done it before. We did one more recently on like tournament times. And we'll do more in the future as well, but it just very much depends on what the topic is. Yeah, Winston, if you want to talk about this one, I
real quick.
Feel it coming.
Real quick, yeah, let me sneak in. Panga, he really did his best, but the tomatoes were too much for him, unfortunately. And looks like Level Up and Destroyer are getting in there to fight. Lots of rewards there. Make sure to get in there. You got 5 minutes to vote and sponsor. And yeah, you don't miss out. Don't miss out on it. Get in there. Look at that already. Goddamn, 3 million. Okay, someone thinks Destroyer is going to win. But we'll see, I guess. We shall see. Back to you, Bolon.
Nice. Thank you, sir. Excited to watch this final match. Going back to you, Hubert, similar question to the All-Star one, but not the All-Star one. With the next Champion and Revengers Champion tournaments coming, do we expect to see balance changes prior to those? Which I will just remind everybody, the next Champion tournament is actually not this coming Saturday, but the following one, July 19th. And then after that, the final Champion and Revengers Champion tournaments will be on the weekend of August 16th. So we've got one that's just over a week away, and the other ones are a little over a month away.
Yeah, so I'll say very likely there won't be any changes for this coming tournament, but my goal is to have Pirate out and balance changes that would be associated with that release before the following one. But we'll see how things go.
All right. I like it. I like it. I like it. Let's see. That is all of our submitted questions for this week. We do have a few minutes, and this final match is about to begin. So, apparently Destroyer is Darth Warpath today. If you guys have any questions that you want to drop in chat, we can take a few live questions. And then we can watch this bout together as the final match of the Patrollers Limited. So if you've got any questions you want to drop in live, feel free to hit us up. And this last match between who is actually Darth Warpath and Level Up, also known as DFK Elite. Let's see. So Hubert, any thoughts on low level PvE content on Crystal Vale?
On Crystal Vale, I would say, yeah, I would like there to be some there eventually. It wouldn't be void hunts most likely, but we do have plans for low level content just in general all over in the game. It's just that's kind of farther out. But yeah, I'd say eventually it will be a thing. For now, though, it's your option is essentially patrols.
Nice. Thank you, sir. Let's see. Very important question for you, Hubert. How big will your party be?
Probably not very. Mostly it's an excuse to kind of like I want my son to all my family and lives in like far away from me, so I want him to get more interaction with his family so he doesn't grow up feeling just kind of disconnected from everybody. Like I know other people who are, and even myself in some regards. So a lot of this is for that. I think my birthday party itself is probably just going to be me and a couple friends, like going out and throwing some frisbees at some goals because I like to frisbee golf. And otherwise, maybe play a board game. That'll be about the extent of my birthday fun.
I'm gonna bring a bus full of vagrants to your birthday, to both of them, to family and to your friends thing. So the same group of guys, you'll recognize them the second time. You'll see 'em coming. But definitely, they're drifters. Don't gamble with them. They're not to be trusted. It's gonna be a fun party.
Well, if they want to gamble on some disc golf, they might lose unless they're really good. I'm not that good.
What if they what if they vote on you? I got all mixed up there.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow, it was close.
With my other two friends, there's a chance that would be a good vote.
I didn't know you played disc golf.
I love disc golf, and I'm
We're
not very
learning
good.
about Hubert today.
I don't have enough time to play it enough to do all the cool tricks that the pros can do, and I'm sad about it. But I think I have a decent enough game to like do okay.
There's another question. When gardens rebalance, this one actually was something that we started talking about and then got kind of backburnered because we just had a lot of other things that we needed to address. But we actually did start resurfacing that. I want to say like a week ago. So we're gonna do some work on the gardens, and then that will be a governance vote for anything to change. But yeah, we will be back with more information on that because yes, we had started talking about it, and then we had other things that we had to focus on. Let's see. Will there be a gap between season 1 of tournaments and season 2? Hubert, I don't know if you have thoughts on this. I'll say probably a short gap.
Probably. Yeah, I think there's just a few things we need to discuss that we haven't like been able to discuss yet. So I think that's going to kind of dictate like the amount of extra time we might want to take before we do. If there is a gap, though, we might do a few things. Like I have some ideas about like dealing with leftover tokens and things like that. So we can have some in-betweeners that we add.
Spicy. So yeah, stay tuned for more on that one. I'll say personally, like if there is a gap, I don't want it to be crazy long. I'm sure Hubert doesn't either. Nobody does. So, we want to keep things moving, but there might be a little bit of a break, kind of like how the dual seasons used to be, where we get a little bit of a time to reset everything, because it can be tricky to do that with no break at all. I would say, and this is all just off the top of my head, so please don't put too much weighting on this, but I would say at the very least, our current season runs through a Sunday, and then we have the All-Star tournament. So I would say at the very least, there would probably be that week, but we'll see how things shake out. I'm just thinking out loud, which is a dangerous thing for me to do. Hubert, any thoughts on introducing a mechanic to spice up sudden death where people who have voted on the match can choose specific heroes to get extra damage based on how much influence they voted with?
I just imagine there being all these whale accounts with all this influence that they use to vote against their opponent and do extra damage to them in the background while they're playing. And I say, no, that is not going to happen.
Yeah, once you start involving crowd damage, things get personal. I'm all for competition and some trash talk. That might be a little bit more than is healthy. Any thoughts on Iron Skin and Hardened Shield as far as their state of balance?
That was a nice rephrasing of how that was worded. I'll say, like, to the comment that says it's just a pass turn. I mean, I think pass turn gives you 400 initiative back. I can't remember now actually what pass turn. Do you know, Winston, off the top of your head? I'd have to go look. But anyway,
I think it's 300. No, it's 400.
It's 400. So actually, it's better than a pass turn because you get 500 initiative back on Iron Skin, and Hardened Shield does not do that. So I don't know. We can consider maybe adjustment to Hardened Shield. I'd say that I think Iron Skin's in a good spot, but yeah.
Nice. Thank you. Will you be live streaming your birthday celebrations so that we can all partake?
No.
I want to see Hubert play disc golf.
I have a good overhand throw. My underhand throw is not the best, though.
I'm gonna be honest, I've never actually played disc golf or seen it played except for like random videos.
When you were here, it would have been cool if we all went. I don't have enough discs for everybody, but it would have been cool.
We didn't have to invite everybody. We could have just, me and you.
It's fun. I mean, it's just golf, but you're throwing a frisbee instead. So it's, you're looking at for different things like trees and stuff. But you get good at like banking the throws, and there's all these different throws you can do. You can do rolls on the ground, which are pretty chaotic, and
I'm not sure that I could be any worse than I am at actual golf. So this is promise.
Oh, you'd be surprised. They use special like weighted frisbees too.
Oh crap!
So it's like, you're not just like throwing one of those shiny.
Yeah, the super lightweight one. Yeah.
No, you're throwing they're just like, it's like a weight. You're just throwing a disc.
Yeah, I actually had my glasses broken, chipped a tooth, and have a permanent scar on my shoulder from poorly thrown discs.
Oh my god!
Maybe you're in physical danger.
Yeah, you gotta be careful where you are standing and paying attention to what other people are doing. And it was all the same friend who did it to me too, which was kind of hilarious.
But are you sure that it wasn't intentional?
Like the chipped tooth was like a freak. That chipped tooth and the scar happened from the same throw, and it was just he threw it too high, and it came down at a sharp angle, and they're pretty sharp, and it like hit my shoulder and cut it, and then reflected up and hit the bottom of my jaw with enough power to like make my jaw go up and hit my teeth together, and a piece choked off. And then a little bit later, he threw another one, and I was standing on the other side of the goal, and he threw it too high, and it just went right into my face and broke my glasses, which was great. It was real great.
So what are you doing when these things are hitting you in the face? Are you just kind of like reading a book, or?
I don't know what to say about that. It was a mistake.
Something embarrassing, it sounds like.
It was pretty early on in my disc golf career, I'll say that. Like I had just gotten back from Japan and was playing it for the first time with my friends who were all like much more experienced, and I didn't know what I was doing. So
do they yell four? Do they yell something else?
There was not much time, and that like it was like, I don't know, 10 feet distance. It was very fast. But he shouldn't have thrown so hard. I don't know what he was doing either. But anyway,
you're lucky you guys weren't at a shooting. Like if you guys had been like at a shooting range or something.
Yeah, when we go shooting. Well, I don't know. I know that everyone should not be in front of the guns for the shooting.
Apply some of those rules to the disc golf.
Right.
Anyway, but disc golf is really fun, and is not to be confused with Ultimate Frisbee, which uses a completely different system in frisbees and stuff.
They use or more regular-ish frisbees.
How do you respond to the statement that disc golf is just hiking?
I'd say it's hiking squared. You do it. There is a lot of hiking involved, especially depending on what courses you're going to. But
Oh,
You
I
don't
like
see
He
many
does.
golf carts, right?
Yeah,
People
or-
aren't driving
yeah,
little carts and shit.
It's definitely like you have to be more fit if you're going to be like doing it well. Like
why
for
aren't
golf.
there golf carts?
'Cause there's
I
no
mean,
like golf courses are run by somebody. Disc golf courses are like, you know, a nice person comes by and mows it for like donating their time once a week or something, you know,
Oh,
like
so I can bring my own golf cart. That's fine then.
yeah, that might be socially frowned upon. I don't know.
I mean, so there is like an old abandoned. I mean, it was a golf course, but then I guess no one golfed there, so they converted it into a disc golf course. So I guess that one you could have golf carts, but most of them are just kind of like out in the wilderness somewhere, and there's not much besides just like little hiking trails to get you to where you need to go next. So, and I like that aspect about it. Like you're really just dodging bushes and rocks and trees, and it's fun. So
It sounds like more than a golf cart. You actually need one of the special carts that they use at like driving ranges to collect the balls, where the whole thing's caged in. Because apparently this is a highly dangerous sport.
it's what happened to me was like I was a noob and I did not. I was foolish. I'll just say that. Like I should have
Dude.
been able to avoid all those things.
Like I said, I've handled those discs and they are no joke. Like you do not want to take one of those in any part of your body after it's been thrown. Like you don't even want to like play catch with them. Like seriously, throwing them
yeah.
back and forth, not good. Terrible idea.
The putters are closer to normal frisbees, but yeah, the ones that are drivers, those ones are sharp edged. Like you do not want to get hit by those.
I'm sorry, they got silly names for them, like they're golf clubs.
Apparently,
There's
right?
drivers and mid range. Yeah, for sure. Like there's the drivers are designed so that you can throw them really far, and they will have a strong bank or not. And the putters are meant to be very balanced, and you. But I will say also, just since we keep talking about this, and I'm sure everyone is enthralled, that we have a professional course here in northern Utah, up in like by winter it is a very nice ski resort, whatever. But by the summertime they have it as a golf course, and you can actually ride the lifts up to the start, and then it's like walking downhill for most of it, just walking down basically the slopes and throwing down the slopes. And some of those throws are really, really, really far and like really far down. And it's just very cool. So anyway, for anyone who hasn't played disc golf, you're wrong and you should play it.
So divisive. Like maybe they just don't know about it yet, you know? It's like,
well, they're wrong for not knowing.
that's like never mind. I was gonna make a parallel to Christianity there, but I've said enough. I've already said too much. Even if you don't know about it, you're wrong.
This has been the disc golf portion of our AMA. Hubert, I actually do have a game-related question for you, but it sounded like you were about to say something, so if you are, go for it first.
No, go ahead.
All right. I have a two-part question, which you may or may not decide to answer. The first part of that question is, do we have an image that we can show for the cerulean helm? Sorry, I ruined the name.
I guess you'll see it pretty soon. I think we probably do somewhere, but I don't know if it's like prepared for sharing, but it's gonna be minted pretty soon, I think. So just a little patience, just wait.
And will we reveal anything on what the range of rolls possible is
for the helmet?
Yes.
No. I guess just wait. It's coming so soon anyway, and they'll all be minted at the same time, so people will just have them, and you guys can see. But I think it does have kind of the similar flavor as has been done for most equipment, that there's like an ultra rare outcome that can happen. But I think for those that are familiar with the game, that can probably guess like which those are or how close, what they would probably be. So anyway, sorry, I'm going to be like leaving right after this AMA, and I'm not going to spend any more effort on this. So if somebody else on the team wants to, I bless them to do so. I don't care.
I would say that cerulean is like kind of a blue.
It is,
So
I believe.
That's my contribution.
I like it.
I'll say also that you actually have seen it in the game somewhere.
Gasp.
Ooh. I really wanted to see the end of this final bout of this tournament, but Level Up and who is actually Darth Warpath, they're just not cooperating with me here. Neither of them wants to die.
Yeah,
So
there's a lot of
switch that,
basic
right?
text going on here.
Destroyers, Darth Warpath.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Sorry, I don't even know what I said at this point, but yes. But with that, we're going to start our wrap up, and we'll see if they finish this bout in that amount of time or not. If not, make sure you tune in to catch the end of this bout. But I don't know, there's a lot of channeling going on. Maybe we'll see it. Sorry, DFK Elite. I know. But I will say, as always, thank you to everyone who is tuned in live and everyone who will watch this video later. Special shout out to everyone who submitted questions for us to answer. As always, you can submit your questions at talk.defykingdoms.com or in the AMA questions channel in Discord. Please make sure to submit whatever questions you have and want us to answer. Otherwise, we talk about disc golf for 15 minutes. So, make sure you submit some questions. Next week, we'll pick a different sport. But really appreciate you guys. Thank you, as always, Winston and Hubert, for taking the time out of your day to join us up here on the stage as well. Shout out to everyone who participated in this current Patrollers Limited tournament, including Shitlog Staker, but also including everyone else. Level Up, Darth Warpath / Destroyer, Penga. I'm just going to say my friendo because I cannot pronounce his in-game name. We really appreciate you guys. And if you missed the tournament updates that we announced last night, make sure to check those out. Those go into effect tomorrow. And don't forget to tune back in 10-15 minutes. You'll see the post when Sasha and I go live to do the drawings for the first Divine Transcendence, Divine Essence, whatever, kickoff event. And I think that's everything I had. So I'm going to make Winston do our sign off. So Hubert, any final thoughts?
Play disc golf. And also, I mean, it's been cool to kind of watch this tournament. It makes me kind of wonder if level 5s are worth doing, because there's a lot of basic attack happening. But if people like it, I don't want to take it away either, because if we go to level 6, then suddenly all of that level 5 and below gear becomes probably not equipped anymore. But would be interested to hear feedback on that, though, because we could make it like level 6 and level 9 instead. So anyway, but yeah, besides that, we're kind of just chugging along. We have a lot going. Beetle is officially back from his vacation, which he very much deserved, and we're happy for him to have had that. But I am very, very happy to have him back as well, so that he is now back to kind of normal speed of getting things implemented and whatnot. And we have kind of a lot of things all lined up, back to back here. So I'm looking forward to when we get to that point where we're going to start releasing it all. Durability is going to be a pretty big shift, and that is getting closer. There's still more to go, but I'd say our contracts are in a pretty good spot at this point. It's probably going to end up being like one of our largest upgrades to our game that we've ever done, besides like just releasing everything on a new chain. Like as far as just releasing a new feature, I don't know what the count of how many contracts are getting adjusted, but I think it's over 90 at this point.
Wow.
And a lot of those things are just, because of durability, we're adding a whole bunch of new tracking. We're adding a bunch of things. We're trying to like mitigate as much as we can on like how much increase in gas that's going to be. I think we did a good job with that. So kudos to Magnus for all his effort on that. And it's good to just see that getting so close to being done. And Mr. Zipper as well for all of his effort right now, and Pinecone as well for getting the API set up to handle everything too. I know that's one of those features. Kind of, it's necessary for the game to have good longevity and to address equipment inflation. But it's also one of those things where I think having your equipment degrade is not necessarily the most exciting thing to hear is coming. But I think overall it's very good for the game, and people get used to it, and there are going to be new benefits as well with being able to enchant your equipment, which will require you to destroy equipment as well. So anyway, it's going to be a lot of fun. So looking forward to all that. Thank y'all for attending and all that stuff, and I will pass it over to Winston.
The loop gets loopier. Go for it, Winston.
Yeah, thanks Hubert, thanks Bolon, thanks everybody for hanging out with us. Thanks to the tournamentors today who got in there and fought. Let us watch them fight. Sorry, Panga, I don't mean to. I hope you decide to keep playing the game after that. Just brutal defeat. I think you've got it in you. You'll be back. It'll come crawling back. And in lieu of a bullish today, I'm actually going to hope that everyone wishes Hubert a very happy birthday. Happy birthday, Hubert.
Happy birthday. Thank you all. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
DeFi Kingdoms, where you can summon heroes, trade with other players, quest, and fight challenging enemies in a fantasy world brought to life in pixel art animation. Command your legion, claim your legacy.